I'm trying to find me some music. So y'all more than welcome to tune in and tune out. Hop back in, scroll, keep scrolling through your timeline. Hop back out. Hey, Soretta, I agree with you. You know what I mean? Being able to have your own source of income, it's the best feeling in the world right now. I woke up this morning, got a direct deposit from WG. I was like, oh, snaps, look at me go. Yeah, man, it's blessed up to be over here, too. You know what I mean? I hope everybody stays safe out there. I see you got some crazy people out there just coughing on other people and stuff like that. Hey, my post was really serious. Like, if you cough on me and you knowing you got that COVID-19, we about to fight. On everything I love, I'm putting hands on you. I'm just saying. I'm being real. You know what I mean? Playing no games. Yeah, you can't play no games out here. It's crazy. And we're going to have to catch that fade before I go. I'm just being honest. Yeah, for real. It's a bet. You ain't going to just cough on me and get away with that. Nah, B. It ain't going down like that. Hey, like I said, y'all more than welcome to hop out the feed, hop back in the feed, drop a question. You know what I mean? Well, while we on, yeah, I will pull that jiu-jitsu out on him, Ryan. I ain't playing. Let me see what I got here. Let's see. Well, anyways, so anybody throw no questions out there, I just hopped on this Jay Morrison Academy and the Wall Street Trapper. So it's both of them. They had went live earlier. So if y'all want me to, I don't know, go through their notes, or I'm just going to go through it real quick. Let's see what we got. Let me see. Where my page one at? So I like what they were saying, because they was like, you got to have multiple plays in your playbook, right? Let me turn my music down a little bit real quick, because it's turned up by itself. Yeah, so one of the things that they was talking about is that you got to have multiple plays in your playbook to be able to call it audible, right? Yeah, man, it was a good little webinar, live webinar. I was happy to be on. Yeah, so basically they were saying, like, you got to have multiple plays in your playbook to be able to go through this audible, because we don't know when a crisis is going to happen. You know what I mean? So if you've just been relying on that one play, let's pretend that you was playing Madden and it was a sweep right, and that's all you kept doing. Eventually, your plays is going to get shut down, right? So whoever you're playing against is going to know what you're doing. Same thing like in chess, right? If you come out with the same opening over and over and again, and you're playing for something, something's on the line like money, and you just keep coming with the same opening, I'm going to destroy you, right? And that's kind of how I guess our economy is going right now. Everybody got that one play, which what they were talking about on the Jay Morrison Academy and the Wall Street Trapper is basically, if you're relying on this $1,200 stimulus check, you got to ask yourself, how did I get in that position? Hold on, let me move this out the way. My wife just sent me an attachment. So I got my little notepad right here, so I'll go through it, and if y'all want to tune in, y'all can tune in. You want to tune out, you can tune out, you know what I mean? But basically, I'm on my porch, got my little music in the background, got my little cup of wine right here, so I'm home for this morning. Okay, so let's see, what else we got here? So they was talking about, did you invest in plays that will sustain you and your family during the crisis? So basically, a year ago, or a year before that, or even the last 6 months, what kind of plays did you set up? You know what I mean? To put you in a good position, right, to endure this pandemic, right? So yeah, so if you didn't invest in no plays, right, right now you just relying on a stimulus check, which may or may not be here this month. You know what I mean? Let's keep our fingers crossed that it comes for you guys, and in the meantime, set yourself up for some other plays, right? And that takes learning, that takes seeking out a mentor, right? If somebody's already at where you want to be, I would suggest, reaching out to people in that particular field, right? Sometimes people hate, you know what I mean? Hate is gonna be what it is, you know what I mean? If you count somebody else's pockets, you're gonna block your blessing, right? That's just facts. What else was they talking about? For every problem that we have in America, so the first guy who went on was, his name was the Wall Street Trapper, right? I think his real name is Leon something. I didn't catch all that, but they know him in the streets as the Wall Street Trappers. So what he was basically saying, for every problem in America or in the world, there's a company with a solution on the stock market right now. And I was like, damn, you know what? That's deep. Because there is, right? Right now, everybody's trying to come up with this cure, or those in the healthcare industry, companies in the healthcare industry and biological industry right now, they're trying to come up with a cure for this COVID, right? But there are people out there right now that are betting on stocks for these companies to succeed, right? And as these companies succeed, or you put your seed into that particular company, right, you're betting on them to succeed. In the meantime, one of the other things they was talking about, and some of the things that I implement right now, is that the stock market is actually going down, right? Theoretically, we're in a recession, approaching a depression, right? But the objective is, how do you capitalize on that right now in this time, right? So I don't know if you guys saw my post a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, a couple days ago, but basically I was saying that people make money when the market goes up, and they make money when the market goes down, right? But do you know how to make money when the market goes down, right? So for example, and not to keep things complicated, but you got put options, call options, you got all these other things. But one of the things that was spoken about was inverse stocks, right? So if you look up the ticker symbol FAS and FAZ, well, these are leverage instruments or vehicles that you can put your money on, right? So like the other day, I think I made a quick $400-$500 betting that the market went down. The market went down. I got in, got out, made a quick $600, right? Now, the market's been real volatile, right? So meaning that it can go up, it can go down. You don't know where it's going to go at. But one of my strategies is, if it goes up right now and we know that we're in a downtrend, I'm going to bet against it, baby. So in the last 4 weeks, made a quick, G-ball plus, right? But that's later. We'll talk about that. If y'all got questions, you know what I mean, throw them at me. I'm answering questions in my opinion, right? These ain't certified facts. These ain't the end all be all, right? This is just how I feel. What was the other thing? Let's see. The corner class. Anyway, so one of the other things they was talking about was the corner class, and some of the things that was eye-popping into me. So if you look up this guy, his name is Jay Morrison. He has the Jay Morrison Academy, but the guy's a beast on real estate, right? There's other guys that are beasts out there on real estate. But one of the things that I kind of like put in my mind and I pictured, well, he was talking about the corner class, right? Which literally, this is him going onto the corner, teaching to the people about how to invest in real estate, right? Or how to be the lord of your land, right? So if you're renting, that's cool. If you own property, that's cool too. But the goal is how to own property, essentially. So anyway, so what he does is he goes on the corner, you know what I mean, and he teaches these concepts, the basic concepts, so that people can plant that seed, and you don't have to act on it now. You don't have to act on it a year from now. The goal is how not to end up in eviction, how not to end up in foreclosure, how to buy foreclosures, right? How to spot trends. So anyways, he was talking about the corner class. So that whole event of him going on the corner and teaching these financial concepts in real estate, I think it's something like corner class teaching or something like that. But what sparked my mind is that he was talking about owning the intellectual properties on it. So if you want to try to teach anything on the corner right now and call it the corner class of insert X, the corner class of financial services, the corner class of double Dutch, or the corner class of how to swim backwards, right? He already trademarked that, right? So a lot of things are trademarked that you may not even know about. Like even the colors on Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? That purple and kind of goldish colors, those combinations, that's an intellectual property. And, reading about these things, I'm like, damn, I didn't even know that. So if you look at Rich Dad Poor Dad, you see all of his books got that purple, yellowish theme to it, right? That's their intellectual property. So anyways, as I was on this webinar today, I was talking about the corner class, and, I got my little notes right here if y'all wanna see, till I ain't been lying, you know what I mean? Keeping it 100. Hey, Grace, I see you. Christian. Yeah, I mean, how's everybody doing out there? Just for those that's tuning in right now or just happen to click the live link, y'all can throw questions out there, throw questions at me. and I'll try to answer them in the best of my opinion, right? And which cannot be fact. This is just my thinking and my philosophy on it. So throw questions in the comments. I'm looking at them so I can answer them as we go. So back to the Wall Street Trapper, one of the things he was talking about is rules. So if you write the rules down vertical, so R-U-L-E-S. So the R was basically the reason. You know, why does this company exist, right? Do you like it? So if you like shopping Louis Vuitton or you like shopping for whatever you go shop for, your BMW, right? What's the reason? What's their business model? The U stands for understanding of the business. So like Payless, right? They have a huge distribution channel. Actually, Payless is gone. So let's say the 99-cent store, right? Their key function is the distribution of cheap products, right? So now that you got the basic concepts, you understand that business model. Longevity, right? Has the company been, is the company still going to be in existence? So basically, if you look at their assets minus their liabilities, that'll show you the company net worth or whatever the case may be. Are they expanding? I'm trying to see what example did he go over for expanding or expansion. Was it Walmart? I think it was Walmart. And, Amazon or one of them. Anyways, I don't remember all of it. So that's just what the E stand for, and the S was simplistic, right? Let's see. I got one live viewer right now, which I want to talk about. Anyways, I'm going to be here for a minute, so. We had like 7 people. Right. No. People can come in, they can chime in, they can just watch. You know what I mean? I can't hear if anybody's said any comment. I don't know how they do that on the other end. I think this is my first time going live. So, well, we here. Reggie, I see you still here, man. You got some questions? You got anything you want to talk about? Let me see. I'm trying to see what other notes that I took down. Hey, that was a good webinar, babe.
I thought you were one today?
Yeah. That's really good.
You need to put your phone.
Oh, options, how to get started. All right, so here's how my philosophy on options is. Remember, there's always different strategies. But options, basically, you can look at the price of an option and it'll give you, basically you can get a stock or you can own a portion of the stock for less than it's worth. So right now, I'm just throwing out a hypothetical. Let's say Amazon is 1,000 a stock right now. Well, you can get options and say, okay, I believe Amazon is going to go up by June or July or August or whenever this pandemic is over. And one option contract is 100 shares, right? So you purchase the option contract for, let's say, $10, right? Obviously, they could be $10, but you pay, I don't know, like $600, $500, and you get to control 100 shares per option contract. So you don't have to, hey, what's good with you? Yeah, you don't have to hang on to the option contract until it expires. So right now, if I was to get an option contract knowing that the market just tanked on Friday, and today being Saturday, I would have got some option contracts, right? Probably one, because Amazon would be an expensive option contract, pay like $200 for it, and then if it increased like 5 or 10%, somebody else is willing to pay for it and buy it. So I would sell it, right? You don't have to wait till the option contract goes all the way to the end of expiration. But if you so choose to let it go to expiration, that's good, because if the option is above your strike price that you pay for it, so let's say option for Amazon was a G-ball, $1,000, and it ended up being $1,200, well, you can exercise that option contract, and somebody else, or whoever sold the option contract, would have to pay you for 100 shares at $1,000 for each of those shares, right? So you're coming up $200 per 100 shares, right? So that's quick money, quick turnaround. And in fact, I just did an options contract on a company called Mr. Cooper. So if you look it up, the ticker symbol is COOP. So basically what they do is they service mortgage loans. So here you have the landlord, I'm sorry, not the landlord, but the owner, the buyer of the property. You have the mortgage servicer who's in the middle. Hold on, let me let this thing go by. So you have the owner, the property owner, and then let's say that's you. Then you have the mortgage servicer, and then you have the bank or an investor, right? Well, that mortgage servicer who's in the middle he has to essentially pay the bank or pay the investors regardless if the owner pays the mortgage, no matter what, right? So right now in this economic time, they're on the hook, right? So if you look at it, it's crazy, because if this middle piece fails, right, especially for the non-banking depositor institutions like Mr. Cooper, they're on the hook for that money, for that mortgage payment. And let's just say that you had an apartment complex, you owned all of that. They're on the hook for all of the tenants or mortgagors who decide not to make a payment for their mortgage or to do a deferment. So with that being said, they have a liquidity issue, right? So their stock ended up going down, right? Because the government, basically like Gina May, they said, hey, we're not going to help them just yet. We're going to wait and to see how our quantitative easing and the stimulus package, how that plays into the market right now. Is everything going to be fine? If it's not, we're going to keep it pushing. Now, earlier in the week, last week, Gina May basically said, hey, we're going to help these companies, right? These mortgage servicers, right? As soon as they made that announcement, I said, ooh, let me jump on that. So I got some options contracts and I got the actual stock. I purchased the stock because that was positive news for me to hear. Because I'm like, okay, cool. They're going to help this middleman because they essentially facilitate that transaction between the owner and the bank, right? And they're on the hook. So here's the government saying, hey, I'm going to pay you guys or give you access to liquidity to meet that objective. So anyways, the stock went up. I got in when it was low, right? And I sold. I didn't want to hang on to it because, like I said, the government or whoever, they could change their mind any day. And guess what happened? On Friday, they changed their mind, right? They said, hey, we're going to hold off after already saying that they were going to help service. They said, hey, you know what? We're going to hold off and not provide this liquidity for these mortgage servicers, right? And you know what that did? It dropped the stock price, right? So guess who wasn't in there when that took place? Me, because I got in and I got out, right? So the government made that decision on Friday or whatever day they made it, Thursday night, it didn't matter to me. That stock went down. So originally it was at like $7 or something like that. So it went all the way down to like 4 something, right? Guess who got it at 4 something? This guy, right? So I got that stock at 4 something. And guess what? Put like 3 racks in there, boom, made a quick profit of like $500, $400 something dollars. So if you look at my, what do you call that? I don't even know what you call that little live feed or your story. Oh, there you go. You can see exactly that's what I did on Friday. So I got in, I got out. So that's more of a, for Reggie's question, stock options and just options in general. So hopefully that helped, man. That's just my 2 cents on it. Right? If that made sense, cool. Give me a like. If it didn't make sense, just say, hey, it didn't make sense. Right? But either way, we made some money on it. Right? Anybody else got any questions out there that they want me to try to answer, in my opinion? Drama free. I see you out there. Hopefully you still being drama free. What is it, babe? Huh? Better give my dog some water.
She has one on the home.
You're welcome, Reggie. Let me know, man. Anything else? While we on here, I'm just throwing out questions or answering questions as best as I see fit. Right?
Are we gonna play poker?
We're gonna play poker later. Me and you. I'm gonna beat you, but we'll play. All right, so let's jump into one of the other questions about credit in this time and day and age of right now during this pandemic. So one of the things that I got from the webinar, that there's the 4 R's of credit. So all credit can be rebuilt, restored, repaired, and then recycled, right? And then there's essentially 4 different levels to it. You can have personal credit, you can have family credit, you can have business credit, and you can have partner credit. But it's up to you to do your research and to jump on that. But I just want to throw that out there in case anybody was thinking about it, because right now, because of this pandemic, you know, people are skipping out on their mortgages, on their rent. You know what I mean? It's cool and all if you got a plan and you put money to the side to save it. But if you didn't, at the end of that deferment period, just be on the lookout, because these property owners, landlords, or whoever, or your bank, they ruthless, right? And if you don't know or you never been to court and understand how that procedure go, it's going to be a wrap, right? So let me turn my music down a little bit, right? And the reason why it's going to be a wrap is because you may not know how to navigate the courtroom, essentially, right? So for example, you get a 3-day notice, right? You got things that you need to do within that 3 days. You need to either cure that default, or if you don't, just know a summons is going to be coming next, right? So basically with that summons, they saying, hey, I'm going to see you in court, right? And with evictions or unlawful detainers, they're what they call like summary proceedings, meaning that it's going to be really quick, right? So you got only a certain amount of days to respond. I don't remember what it is, 7 days, 30 days, but that's how much time you got to respond to that summons and complaint. If you don't respond, that's an automatic default, right? No matter how good your answer is, or your case or your documentation, if you don't respond, it's a wrap. And what happens with that is some of these companies, they do sewer service. So the term of that sewer service is basically they state that they gave you the summons and complaint, but in actuality, they never did, right? So you don't even know that you being taken to court, right? And with that being said, they go and get a default judgment against you. If they get a default judgment against you, then you're going to have the sheriff come knocking on your door saying, I need you out, bruh, right? And that's what a lot of people don't understand, right? That's cool that each state or each county government, I don't know, they gave everybody that deferment option or rent abatement kind of thing. But if you don't know what the next step is after that, you better have a lawyer on your side on everything I love, right? So I gave that letter to people, or just posted it on my social media the other day, is because that was one of the prerequisites that you needed to do. You needed to, one, have your rent paid prior to this April month, right? So check. Then two, you need to notify the landlord or the property owner that you was not going to be able to make payment, full or partial payment for that particular month. Now, when May comes up, you need to do it again, right? Then you need to have your documentation set to the side, right? Whether that be doctor's note, your employer stating that you got furloughed, terminated, whatever the case may be. You need to have that in another folder, separate folder, just have that already together. Now, even if you had a decrease in your income, I believe that still counts. But if you don't have that together, just because you made that deferment, the landlord on your head. The bank is on your head. They like, all right, cool. You want to play games? All right, cool. We're gonna hit you with this summons and complaint, or this unlawful detainer lawsuit. And remember, that goes into the whole cycle again. If you don't know how to respond, or you panic, or you get nervous, and like, I don't know what to do, or you don't even sign it, or you don't show up to court, man, it's a wrap for you, right? You just count that as an L. And the reason why I'm so serious or passionate about it is because it's the lack of knowledge that people have, right? Which have a hindrance on your future ability to own property, your credit score, all that stuff. All that stuff comes into account. So if the landlord hits you with one of those and you go to court and you ain't got no lawyer, or you don't know how to properly answer that summons and complaint, man, it's a wrap for you. If you don't know what an affirmative defense is, or you don't have your documentation in order, or you don't, even if you try to do it and you don't use one of their legal forms that you can get online, and you try to do your own separate answer, man, they can you get penalized for that. And the judge, they ain't sympathizing on my mama, right? They're not sympathizing. So and the reason why I know this stuff is because I went through it and I won, right? And that particular luxury complex, they had to pay me money, right? I did a DFEH complaint, a HUD complaint, right? And I'm one of those people that had all my stuff in order, right? So that way, when I went to court with a lawyer the first time and without a lawyer the second time, I was on their head, right? And they essentially had to pay me money to drop their case, right? First of all, they had to drop their case. Then they had to pay me money. So I got all the documentation on that. I'll show you guys in another one of these live things, right? But to me, that was like one of my proudest moments. Not the proudest moments, but one of my proudest moments, because I fought a big company that had unlimited funds, literally unlimited funds, and I won, right? You don't know what it is to be in court and literally fighting for your life, right? Because had they won, that would have been a wrap on me, right? It would have been an eviction on my record, right? I wouldn't have been able to essentially jump into another apartment complex or buy a home because they look at all these things, right? But I'll show you guys how I had the game plan and won that successfully, right? Successfully on multiple occasions, right? So I ain't lost no court case ever, right? And I have sued people and won, right? So that's the serious part. When you're in there fighting for your life, I mean, that's what life is. You know what I mean? It's a chess game. And if you don't know the rules to the game, right, you already put yourself behind. You know what I mean? If you don't have these additional revenue streams, you put yourself behind. You don't know the rules to the court, you put yourself behind, right? What did Reggie say? Know the system, fight the system, and win. Yep, you're exactly right, right? And that's what gave me confidence because as I had to go through that, I had to go to the law library. I had to read all this stuff. I had to, I got a lawyer before. I got a lawyer without, you know what I mean? I fought the case without a lawyer before, and I won on all occasions, you know what I mean? But it's knowing those things. If you don't know what an affirmative defense is, and you just go in there looking crazy, man, these judges, I promise you, on everything I love, is not on your side, right? Unless the landlord or the owner did something blatantly obvious, right? And put it in writing. That's your only defense. And even then, that ain't a defense, right? Because they can still sue you. But in this particular case, I wish I could break it all down, but you know what I mean? I know everybody got other questions, but in this particular case, you know what I mean? I won. They had to pay me because I did my DFEH complaint and everything. And basically, they had to change their system and how they were running their company. They're under a 2-year, 2-year supervision with DFEH and HUD. So that felt good too. You know what I mean? Oh, let me bring up one instance since we got more people on there. So on one of their letters, right, that they put on my door, right, in red, basically it said eviction unit check, right? Not you've been evicted or anything like that, just eviction unit check. To me, that's embarrassing. Okay, so we want to play the embarrassing game? I got you, right? Because I don't know why you put this on my door, but since we want to play the embarrassing game, okay, let me go through this. Let me go through this proceeding, and then because it's false information and because your property owner is making up stuff, right? I'll sue you personally, right? Which I did, and in this particular case, I had the sheriff, right? Which you can get, you can serve them via the sheriff or whatever. So I had the sheriff come serve you at your place of business, right? In front of all your employees, right? Like 20 employees. Now you got the sheriff in your face giving you a summons and complaint. How does that feel? Ooh, that hurt, right? So, like I said, but I only did that because you know the system and you know how the game is played. So if you don't, then you can't do those particular things. Anyways, make a long story short, I can sue you in small claims court. I can still serve you with the summons and complaint. Now you got to go through all of this, and then now you got to go be in the library. I love the law library, you know what I mean? Because you're learning information, you putting stuff together, you're learning all kind of other stuff. But for her, that changed her whole life, right? Because you got served in front of your place of employment, right? And now you got to go fight this case. And you don't know what the outcome is going to be, because if I get a judgment against you, it's a wrap, right? So, and you can't use a lawyer in a small claims court. So that's just, you know what I mean, for y'all out there. So now I got you on a defensive, right? You're supposed to be the property manager of this big company. Now they can't even help you, right? How'd that feel? I sued the process server, right? Because what I was talking about earlier with the sewer service is where they say they served you, but you didn't serve me, right? Because if you say I'm white and I'm 6 feet tall, obviously I'm African American and I'm not 6 feet tall, right? So, and you put that in your paper and you submit that to the court, that's fraud, bruh. So anyways, I sued the process server and the process serving company, right? Don't play no games with me. You see what I'm saying? Now, how that make you feel? Now you got to go in court and fight for your life. And I got the documentation, I got the proof, right? So being able to be in a position to know how to do these things puts you in a different perspective, different mindset. So I know that anybody who play with me, it's gonna be a wrap. I mean, if you want to go in the business end, and let's say you breach a contract or something like that, I can use the law to my benefit. Now, let's say you're using the street stuff, which I don't advise anybody to do. But if you playing games out there and, you want to put these hands out there, you don't want that business. It's going to be a wrap for you on that end, too. So being able to have that street smarts and the business savvy, man, you're in a whole different position, right? Because you just walk around, you feel confident, right? Ain't nobody going to play no games with you, right? Or if they do, they're going to find out the repercussions. That's on everything I love, you know what I mean? So anyways, enough with that topic. Let's just say that the moral of the story is, in this pandemic, you want to be in position to not only go on offense, but to be on defense, or not only be on defense, but be on offense as well, right? So just a word for the wise out there is that if you deferred your payment, that's cool, right? Just be able to handle the consequences on the back end, right? Now, consequences, they can be both positive and they can be negative. So either way, be able to handle the consequences on the back end. And right now, you got ample time to be studying up, to be in a position to say, okay, you know what? I got all my stuff together. I ain't worried, right? I got my paperwork. I got my documentations. Because like I said earlier, these landlords ain't playing. They will give you a 3-day notice, even if you paid your rent on time. At the end of the conclusion, what is that, May 31st or whatever, and you paid your rent, all of it, the back stuff on the 1st, they'll still give you a 3-day notice. And then you'll panic and you'll say, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh. I got the governor order. I got the president's order. They say you can't do this. Oh my gosh. But you panic and you don't know what to do, or you don't know how to answer that summons and complaint, or you answer incorrectly, or you use the wrong affirmative defense. It's a wrap, no matter how well you prepared. So that's what I mean by having yourself into a chess strategy, to be able to be in on the back end and say, okay, whether you take me to court or not, I got all my information, right? Right now, a lot of people are being furloughed or laid off. You know what I mean? That's an unfortunate situation again, but you got to ask yourself, it was no fault of your own, but instead of, crying about it or putting your head in the sand like an ostrich, what am I doing to prepare myself for this economic situation, right? Am I in a position to make moves, right? Can I go get some property? Do I got money saved up? Am I just waiting on a stimulus check? What's up, cuzzo? I see you. That's my cousin Tamisha right there. Anyways, back to my topic. She threw me off track. Am I in a position to capitalize on opportunities? That's a good statement right there. Am I in a position to capitalize on opportunities? And if you're not, don't trip. You got a lot of time right now to be reading up on how to do that. No, it ain't too bad. Don't trip. You got a lot of time to be brushing up on your knowledge, sharpening your sword, right? So what I may do later on is create like a little inner circle type group, right? If you want to be a part of it, that's cool. You know what I mean? Because obviously I ain't gonna be doing these Facebook lives every day, but I will do it for a small group. You know what I mean? To share this knowledge with you guys, because knowledge is power only when it's applied, right? And if you got it all up here, that means nothing, right? You got a high credit score, 800 something, but you're unable to capitalize on how to use that particular arsenal in your toolbox. It does you no service, right? You don't know how to start a business, so you can't use that, right? So you don't know how to purchase property with a good credit score. You know what I mean? That's just an ego thing. Yeah, I got an 800 credit score. No, not me, but I got an 800 credit score, and I don't know how to use none of it. I don't know how to use none of this information. I don't know how to get credit. I don't know how to apply for a loan. They deny me. I don't know why, right? That's your fault. That's your bad. You know what I mean? So in this downtime that we got, pick up that knowledge, man. Find out, seek out a mentor, right? YouTube, they got a lot of videos, right? If you ever want to drop me an inbox question, you can. For everybody that's just tuning in, you can drop a question in the comment, and I'll go ahead and do the best to answer it in my opinion, right? This may not be set in stone. It may not be the end all be all, but it's just my opinion and my interpretation of things right now. Like I said, I'm turned up. I'm in my zone. I got my little cup of wine right here. I need a refill in a minute, but we on one today. All right, so I guess one of the other questions was out there was how to create a budget, right? I'll do a whole video on that. I got a spreadsheet that I've been using for like the last 10 years. I'm 32 now, so actually it's been more than that, like 15 years now. But some people don't even know how to create a budget, right? No fault of their own, right? But it's all about knowledge, right? So with that being said, with the budget, you know, you put your income in one spot, you put your expenses in another spot. It'll show you your projected end of the month and your actual end of the month. And having a budget is something that is measurable, right? So if it's measurable, you can adjust it in the future, right? So let's say you brought in $2,000 or $5,000. Okay, cool. I got my biggest expense was my rent, my mortgage. And then I got these other expenses, my car payment, my our car note, my telephone bill, my utilities, all this other stuff. Okay, so the objective is, am I spending more than what I bring in, or am I bringing more than what I spend, right? You want to have the latter, so then that way you can position yourself to make moves. Excuse me. Now, in this pandemic, a lot of people have been, in the last year, or even longer than that, been spending more than what they bring in, right? So my philosophy is that if you depend on just one source of income, I don't care what you're doing. If you're just depending on the stock market, or you just depending on your job, your job, or you're just depending on your residual income, or whatever it is, there's a lot of different sources of income. But if you're just depending on one, you are doing yourself a disservice to not only you, but your family. And the reason why I say that is, as you can see right now, companies can lay you off or furlough you, right? And then you end up in the unemployment line. Now, I'm not ragging on anybody, right? This is just the unfortunate circumstances of the situation that we're in. So if you end up in the employment line, you try to file for employment benefits online, or I don't even know how you do that. But if you try to file right now, what I've been hearing is that those websites been crashing because there's so many people that are trying to do it at the same time, right? And what I do is I look at economic data, and you can look at it from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you can look at it from the Department of Labor. But anyways, back to the moral of the story is that if you only depend on one source of income, right now, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, because that same company that you think is going to be there when you come back to work, they're going to look at their balance sheet, their income statements. They're going to be like, you know what? Profit is equal to revenue minus costs. And they're going to say, hey, you know what? Let's say Macy's, for example. Macy's may go bankrupt, but let's just say Macy's, for example. Macy's say, hey, our revenue is not going up because people ain't doing that shopping. And we wasn't built up as an online platform, really, so our revenue really ain't, going up. Now, our costs, we still got the leasing agreements. We still got employee expenses, which is one of the largest employer expenses that there is. We still got overhead. We still got all this other stuff, right? But you will be considered an expense at the end of the day, right? Depending on the company and the industry. Is it a consumer good? Is your business or their business an essential business? A lot of people are going to look at that and be like, man, what's an essential business, right? A lot of people found out really was an essential business. And another thing to that story is, if you do work in an essential business, this is just my opinion, don't kill yourself over that $2 raise on everything I love, you know what I mean? Because you're putting yourself in jeopardy for the $2. I understand people got family situations, financial bills and everything. That's a different topic. But if you're just trying to keep yourself afloat and the $2 raise is making or breaking you in your decision, don't kill yourself over that $2 raise. Anyways, but that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? What I would do is probably now look at and say, okay, cool. They consider my business essential. I was making $12, now I'm making $14, or I was making $15, now I'm making $17. At the end of the day, don't kill yourself over that $15 raise. I'm sorry, not the $15 raise, the $2 raise. Right, $15, you talk about a whole different subject. No, I'm just kidding though. But no, for real though, on everything I love, I want to see you here. I want you to be here for the foreseeable future, right? But at the end of the day, that goes back to my main premise. If you only got one source of income, you putting yourself at a disadvantage. So one of the questions was, what are some of the sources of incomes that you have? All right, so we got W-2 income. That's your job, right? We got 1099 income, right? That's income that you may make as a self-employed or independent contractor, right? We got residual payments, right? So like when I did the Bernie Mac show, I'm still getting mailbox money from that. Now, it ain't as high as what it used to be in 2005. It's been decreasing every year, right? But guess what? I still get checks from that. That's residual income. This morning, I woke up and I had a direct deposit from the financial services business, right? That's another form of income. I didn't even know I was getting that check, but it came through, right? And I'm thank God and I'm happy that it came through, but that's another form of residual, or what we call in the financial industry, trails, right? I did some work a year ago or years ago, right? And I have assets under management, and you get paid off of work that you did in the past or a while ago. So with the Bernie Mac check, I did that in 2005, right? And literally that was like 4 hours worth of work, 4 hours of work, and got paid when we did the Bernie Mac episode or whatever, went down there. That was pretty cool. Then when it aired, I got paid. When it got sold in syndication to, I think it was China and wherever else it got sold, that was another paycheck, right? And each time the episode aired, that was another paycheck, right? Those are residuals. You see what I'm saying? 1099, throw yourself into an independent contractor, right? You got sites like Upwork. You got sites like Fiverr, right? If you're good at something, people will pay you for your service. So let's say, for example, I'm good at spreadsheets. I know how to do spreadsheets, right? I'm a beast. I know how to do pivot tables. I know how to do a VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, right? If you guys don't know what that is, get in my inbox. I'll show you how to do that. That'll make you more valuable to your employer if you do know how to do that, and you're, you know, they have you dealing with computers and stuff like that. But anyways, that's an advantage, or that's a competitive advantage that I have over my competition. Now, here's the thing where I think about competition is I'm willing to give the information for free, right? So I never feel threatened when I'm at the job that somebody's going to take my position. Come here, let me show you. I'll show you how to do this, right? I'll show you how to put this spreadsheet together, or how to import these tables, or how to put this form together, because I want you to succeed. Just like in life, right? My goal is to give that information out. I want everybody to see. I'm not threatening that you will take my job. Go for it, right? That only gonna push me harder, right? When I play poker, right? Yeah, I took some losses before, right? But overall, I'm a winner, right? I can tell you that. And shout out for everybody who wished me good luck on those tournaments that I played in prior to this pandemic. I won some change there, so that helped. That's another source of income, right? These things add up, right? Y'all see me doing the stock stuff. If you just said, okay, I want to make $1,000 in a week. We're just breaking down simple numbers right here. I want to make $1,000 a week. There's 52 weeks in a year. That's $52,000 that you made. If you made the $1,000, you put away 1/3 of that for Uncle Sam. I don't know. You probably netting like 137. That's 137 that some people didn't even make this year, right? That's beast mode right there. You break that down, but that's because you gave yourself that audible. You gave yourself that play. And because you did the research on how to invest in a down market, how to invest in an up market, you put yourself in a position to win. And that's all I did. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they look and they say, okay, you know what I mean? How did you pick this all up, right? How'd you learn how to do the stocks? How'd you learn how to play poker? How'd you learn how to get the position that you got at your job, right? How did you get on the Bernie Mac show? How are you doing other acting gigs? You know what I mean? How are you getting those additional sources of income? That's because you put it right here, right? So right now, people watching Netflix. Netflix is cool, you know what I mean? I got Ozark in my playlist. Well, I think I finished that one. I got, what else is coming up next? Money Heist, right? But what I ain't doing, what a lot of people are doing, is I ain't sitting there in the bed every day. You know what I mean? I ain't sitting in the bed every day just watching this Netflix stuff while this pandemic happened. I'm trying to pick up something, pick up some learning, right? Just pick up one or two things. You ain't gotta try to do everything in the playbook. You know, you pick up one or two things that can literally change your situation and your family life, right? Give me a second. Let me turn my music down. Yeah. You pick up those one or two things Now, when you go back to work, right, if you do decide to go back to work, there's one less thumb on your head, right? And the thumb on your head, I consider like that's a manager telling you what you can and can't do, micromanaging you, when you can go on vacation, when you can't go on vacation, when you got to clock in, make sure you clock in. What's another thumb on your head? If you got different examples, drop them in the comments. But that is what I consider a thumb on your head, right? You want to relieve some of that pressure. Man, get your thumb off my head. You know what I mean? You want to put yourself in a position to be like, fire me if you want to. You know what I mean? And not saying it like as if, how would I want to put this? Not saying it like you going in there cocky or you want to do something stupid like talk back to your manager when you know you're going to lose your job, right? You want to be in a position to where you want to say, fire me if you want to. You know what I mean? Because I got other sources of income that'll sustain me until I'm able to replicate or get a new job or whatever the case may be. You see what I'm saying? I got enough saved up. I got what they consider FU money. You know what I mean? I got all these sources and different things in practice and in play that when I go into work, this is just me in my interpretation. When I go into work, I'm excited. I'm happy. You know what I mean? Because you're like, okay, the things that I do or the value that I bring to this company or whatever it may be, I know that it's beneficial to a lot of people. I know that I'm the best person for this. Like what I do is literally highly sophisticated. But I'm like, I'm the best for this. You know what I mean? If you get another person to put in my position, not that the company will fail, but it just ain't going to operate as efficiently as you want it to. You know what I mean? But because I have put myself in a position to have additional sources of income, what's up, KK? I see you. Because I put myself in a different position to have additional source of income, I go in there like, all right, cool. I'm here. I'm on time. You know what I mean? I leave on time, whatever the case may be. You ain't got no problems with me, and you put yourself in a better position to do your work, right? Because you don't have that stress on your mind. You got stress on your mind. You thinking about where your next paycheck gonna come from, or if you come in late, or if you sick but you can't miss work, or you miss work because you sick. These employers ain't playing, especially in this time and day and age. But you want to be able to go in there with mental clarity, right? What's up, Francisco? What up, KK? So if you go in there with mental clarity, then you're able to be the best performer of what you do. I don't care if you're a courtesy clerk, or if you're in the hospital, or you're on a respirator, or you're a respiratory therapist, a nurse, or financial analyst. It doesn't matter what it is. But when you go into your place of employment or your job, we just talking about employment right now, you going in there with a clear sense of mind. You know how much leverage you got when you do that, or when that happens? Man, it's the best feeling in the world, because I'm in a position to where I'm like, all right, I'm the best at what I do, right? I honestly feel that way. And if you don't have that sense of cockiness in you, that's okay. Some people call it confidence. I call it cockiness. I'm a cocky man. You know what I mean? I don't care, right? But I'm the best at what I do, right? And I'm going to show you how to be the best too. So if there's people in my department, you want to learn how to do this, come holler at me. I got you, right? Now, outside of employment, if you want to learn what I do, come holler at me. I got you, right? And all of this is free of charge, because like Jim Rome said, you know what I mean? You give that information out there, the marketplace is going to pay you for what you bring to it, right? So if your job is simple, and no disrespect to whoever's on that flip hamburgers, but if that's all you do, they got machines now that can do that, right? So then you got to say, okay, what value are you bringing to the marketplace? If you ain't bringing no value, you're going to get paid accordingly. You know what I mean? So just look back at it right now in these last 3 months, and then you see who's at work and who's not at work, right? Who's essential, who's not essential, right? Now, everybody on the front line, shout out to them. They're essential, right? Where was I going with this? But let's say you're a courtesy clerk at Whole Foods, you know what I mean? And people they talking back to you. You know what I mean? You go up in there, they like, bag my stuff, boy, right? How that make you feel, right? You essential, but they're not paying you like you essential, right? They gave you a $2 raise, right? And with that $2 raise, you putting your family and your household in jeopardy. You know what I mean? Just think about that. Now, that's no disrespect to the industry or profession that you chose, but that's the key word at the end of the day. You chose, right? There's ample opportunity out there. And I'm not saying I'm the master at all this shit in the world, but I know there is ways to get money, that's legal ways to get money that's out there, right? Don't do the illegal shit. That ain't worth it, right? But there's legal ways to get money out there, and you got to be willing to go for it. What's up, Patrice? And you got to be willing to go for it and take that sacrifice. Now, one of the questions somebody had asked was, well, where do I find the time? How do I do this? Where do I find the time? You better make the time. You better stop playing, right? Make the time. Here's what I mean by make the time. Here's your schedule, right? Let's say you wake up at 6 a.m., right? Or some people wake up sooner than that. Boom. You got a certain amount of time. You can 10-minute meditate, 30-minute, let's take out a book, let's read. 10-minute, you already had your clothes out at night, you getting dressed. Boom, you put your time in at your 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever you want to call it. And then when you get off, there's more time. So let's say you on a train, for example, or you're riding in a car. You're in the car, you got audiobooks. There's a lot of stuff. You got YouTube stuff. A lot of this stuff is free. A lot of this stuff you can pay for too. You know what I mean? You got books that you can read. So like, for example, when I'm on the train and I'm headed back to Long Beach, Strong Beach, but I'm headed back to Long Beach, I'm feeding my brain. You know what I mean? I ain't listening to music. I may listen to music here and there or have some music in the background, but shit, I'm trying to figure out how to get this money. You know what I mean? How to get this additional revenue stream, right? How to increase what I'm doing in the stocks, how to increase my 1099, how to increase my W-2 income, how to increase my skills and my abilities, my knowledge, so that way when I go to the job, I'm just putting in more stuff. Man, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. Y'all crazy if you fire me, right? But if they fire you, that's okay, right? How can you pick yourself back up, right? And a wise man once said, your net worth is determined by your network. Just think about that. I want you to pause for a minute and just think about that. Your net worth is determined by your network. So if I lost everything, right, all sources of income, who can I rely on, right, as far as my network go, to put me back on my feet? You know what I mean? You ain't got to put me back to my same position, but just to get me back on my feet, right? So, you know, I got people that's in HR. I got people that's in the Chamber of Commerce. I got people that's on my Facebook. I got people that's on my LinkedIn, your social media, your Instagram, right? Just think about that for right now. I just want you to take a second and to think about that is, who do I have in my network that if I lost everything today, I can get right back on my feet, right? So if I lost my job today, right, do I have the knowledge, you know what I mean, who can I reach out to that can put me back on my feet, you know what I mean? And then once I get back on my feet, can I be sustainable in that particular field, right? So let's say I lose my job, but then go get a job. Am I just faking it to make it, right? Did I lie on my resume, or am I really have the wherewithal and know-how to accomplish all this stuff, right? I was gonna say shit, but this stuff. What else we got out there? Your knowledge when you driving back home, or your time. Just for everybody that's tuning in right now, one of the things that we went over was time equity. So I don't know if you're taking notes. It don't matter to me, right? Because we turned up with our why, right? But your time equity, right? He or she who has the most time on their side is able to do more, produce more, make more, right? So if you grinding, I see some people online, they be like, man, I'm grinding. You know, you're making minimum wage, not to put minimum wage down, but I'm making minimum wage and I'm working 3 jobs. Damn, I'm like, damn, bro, you ain't got no time, right? Because those three jobs, although it put food on the table, it kind of set you back, right? Because what you make at 3 jobs, somebody else out there is making on a per hour basis. They making all that plus some, right? But shout out to you for hustling and grinding, because you're putting food on the table. But it's not about how hard you work, how smart you work. You see what I'm saying? Now that's a fact right there. That's a Snapple fact. You see what I'm saying? Because now that you have more time, you're able to increase your knowledge, right? And when you increase your knowledge, that's automatically going to increase your value. When you increase your value, you automatically, as a byproduct, going to increase your income. And that's the lesson here out of all this right now so far of just this particular topic is how to increase your income, how to increase your value, how to put, you know, food on the table for your family, right? How to put yourself in the best position. Anybody got a question y'all want to throw out there? You know what I mean? We on one today. I'm just throwing out opinions, in my opinion, right? Or throwing out what I believe may be true. right? A lot of people have a different perspective on things. These are just things that I believe in, right? And these are things that got me to where I'm at right now today, right? I know a lot of people been asking about that court case or court cases that I was in, you know what I mean, which I won from one of these luxury complexes, and they had to pay me, right? Can you imagine that? How good that feels when a luxury complex got to pay you for they mess up or mishaps or whatever the case may be, or when you fight a debt collection agency and you win, and they got to drop everything and they got to pay you, right? I wish somebody would send me a debt collection notice. I'd be happy when they send me that, because if you know for a fact you don't owe nobody nothing, and even if you did owe somebody something, there are legal things that you can do, right? Like sending a debt validation notice, or what other notice there is? Debt validation, verification notice to the debt collection agency, and they gotta do these certain things in the course of the 30 days or 45 days, however long they get. And if they don't do them in that particular order or don't respond to you, you automatically win. You know how good that feels? Now, to give you personal stories, yeah, I got sent debt collection notices before, and yeah, I fought them. And yeah, there's no debt collection on my credit report ever, right? You know how good that feels? I wish somebody would send me something. I almost hope that they send me something, because I want them to mess up and I sue you, right? Because there's statutory requirements out there where if they don't get it right, they owe you $1,000, you know what I mean, off the bat, right? But get you a lawyer, because the lawyers, they do this, they fight those for free on a contingent basis, right? So you still gonna get your G-ball on GP, right? But these are facts. These are knowledges that if you look it up, you Google right now, and you just say attorney search, right? Attorney fight legal debt collection notice, and you're gonna see a lot of them come up in Google or whatever search engine you're using that basically shows that they take these cases on for free. So, but here's the key to that. If you're fighting a debt collection, is that you got to have all your stuff in order, have it, your timeline, have your documentation, have your proof, or whatever you may have it ready to go. So then that way you just say, hey, lawyer, you can reach out to a lot of them. You can go on the website. One of them is called avvo.com, smartlaw.org. Just go to Google and pull up a lot of them on Yelp. But anyways, you have all your stuff together. You shoot these out and say, hey, here's my documentation. Here's what this company did, right? Can you fight this for me? Can you fight this for me? And some of them say, oh, no, it ain't worth my time. Or, yeah, I take that on, bro. Or, homegirl, I take that on for you, right? Then when they take these on, you can just set it and forget it, right? Because you sent all your information. You got all your facts. Let them do all that other work, and then you get paid based off the statutory requirements. So I think if it's, let's say you get called at 6 a.m. in the morning. Well, a debt collection agency can't call you at 6 a.m. in the morning. What's up, Janet and Jody? They can't call you at 6 a.m. in the morning, so that's a debt collection violation of the Fair Debt and Collection Practice Act, or whatever you want to call it. Go look it up. But anyways, I got all my documentation in order. So when that happens, you should be thinking like, yes, that's money in the bank, right? Because if you don't respond either to my debt verification or my debt validation notice, that's on you, right? And I'm going to sue you, right? And y'all better learn how to use this legal system to your advantage, right? Now, even though some of these judges don't really care about you or how you feeling, you better know the law on everything I love. Now, when it comes to civil cases, I feel like this is just my personal opinion. I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. I'm a beast. I'm an expert at it, right? Some things that I don't want to be a beast and expert at is criminal law, right? Because you're not a criminal, so I don't want to be the expert at that. Shit, you learn that in jail or something, right? I don't want to be an expert at that, right? I want to be the expert at what I do, right? And just be able to be in a position to defend yourself, right? Or to go on offense. Offense or defense, you better know how to do both, right? In this day and age. My tangent, you know what I mean? Just throwing off the top of whatever's in my head. Now, let's talk about this COVID-19, I guess. What's up, Crystal? I see you. So let's talk about this COVID-19. I hope and really pray that they come up with a cure or some type of vaccine very soon, right? And hey, I see. So I hope they come up with a cure and vaccine very soon, because right now, the way the economy is heading, and not just the economy, just people's lives, people are actually losing their lives. And then there's people that fall into these high risk groups that are losing their lives. You know what I mean? So this is my personal opinion. It doesn't look very good out there right now, both in terms of health wise, and in terms of trying to flatten the curve, and in terms of people's economic situations, right? But I think what we want to preach, or what we want to talk about, is how to prepare yourself to not only survive but thrive, right? Obviously, if you die or if you're dead, you can't thrive on nothing, right? So you want to adhere to these CDC recommendations, right? I'm standing on my porch or this balcony or whatever. I am not trying to catch that on everything I love, because there is no remedy or cure or vaccine right now that I'm aware of that is addressing this situation. Now, with that being pushed to the side, economically speaking, there's going to be a whole wave of people losing their houses, right? Or people who didn't financially prepare, whether you have a house or no house. There are people out there who did not financially prepare for this type of situation. And with that being said, you may see suicides go up. You may see domestic violence go up. You may see, what do they call that? Battery, domestic violence, right? Child abuse, all this crazy stuff, right? But we try to stay positive, but as a byproduct of this stuff, and being in the house and people losing their jobs and not being prepared. Not necessarily losing your job, just not being prepared, you know what I mean? Or not foreseeing this as as something that could have potentially happened, right? And as a result, right, there's going to be people that lose their home, right? And they're going to say, okay, what happened? Although I got a deferment on the back end, I got to make all that up. You know what I mean? Whether you extend it out for 12 months or 3 months, 6 months, whatever the case may be, is if you extend it out for 12 months and you lose your job, well, you just lost your source of income, but yet that expense still stayed there. How do you make that up? You think about that. How do you make that up? The banks, they're tightening their credit, although the government will let you believe that there's liquidity in the market. They're going to give out loans. Shit, you better look at that bank balance sheet, right? And who they're actually giving loans out to, right? Got a little supply and demand there. So they're not giving out loans to the regular Joe people, right? So with that being said, if you can't tap your equity in your home, your property is going to be distressed. And as a result, you're going to have investors come in there and swoop it up. These are all facts, right? So to not allow that to happen, put yourself in a position to capitalize or to be able to transition out of that situation, right? It's sad, but it's going to happen, right? And you're going to have people out there, they're not necessarily, predatory, or they may be predatory, but you're going to have people that are waiting for these type of events to happen so they can capitalize on that particular situation, right? So I may be one of those people that capitalize on that situation, or I'm going to try to, right? If property value goes down and somebody get foreclosed on by the bank, right, and then that property loses 50% of its value, therefore it's a discount to me, and I'm able to put myself in a position to buy it outright with cash, or to get financing for it, or to do a subject to or lease option, whatever the case may be. Shit, you crazy. I'm going to capitalize on that all day long, right? But that's just the situation that we live in, right? What else? The market's going down right now, but for the people that just tuned in, I was stating earlier to the earlier group, is that you can make money when the market goes down. right? Now, is that greed or is that being greedy? Shit, I don't know. All I know is that I'm trying to survive and thrive, right? And surviving and thriving, meaning I'm gonna capitalize, or I'm gonna try to do my best to capitalize on every situation that's out there. So when the market went down, did I make money? Yup, you better believe it, right? Because I knew what I was looking for. Will the market go back up? Yep, you better believe it, right? So how do you position yourself to be in that situation that when it goes up, you're able to capitalize on it? It's that knowledge, you know what I mean? Now, could I be on the wrong end of the stick one time or two times or multiple times? Yep, right? I could think the market was going to go up on Friday and, what's up, Josh? I could think the market was going to go up on Friday and been on the opposite end of that transaction and lost money. Stock market, people going to lose money, right? If you just invest in single stocks. Now, excuse me, the good thing I like or I feel good about is that all of my clients that I had, I put them in accounts that had a floor, right? So I wish I could draw it out, but shit, I don't have all the tools or know how to use this that effectively. But here's what I mean by they didn't lose any money. So the stock market goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. I don't know where it's going to be at. You don't know where it's going to be at. But you want to have this thing is what they call a floor. So a floor is basically the company saying, okay, we're going to put like a floor in here at 1% or 0%. Let's just use a 0%. Meaning that if the market tanked 20% or 30%, guess what? Your principal is still intact, right? That's called capital preservation. So even though that the market went down 20%, your client didn't lose any money. Guess who put those clients in those particular accounts? Me, this guy, right? We call it in the financial services industry assets under management. But prior to 2020, and even in 2020, I moved some of my clients' money from those accounts, right? Variable, look up the term. They had their money in variable accounts. In variable accounts, there is no floor, right? So when the market tanked, whoever had money in the variable account, they lost money, right? So if you look at CalPERS, right? Just Google CalPERS. Man, they lost money. CalSTRS, they lost money. That's crazy. Because me working in the public right now, my money or some of my money or whatever I contributed to it is in CalPERS. I have no say over what CalPERS does, right? So therefore, they lost some of my money. Now, is it a lot of money? I don't know. That's all relative to how much you think a lot of money is. But CalPERS lost money. Just Google that right there. Oh my gosh. And you couldn't do nothing about it. Now, your personal 401k or your IRA or your SEP IRA or your investments, you can find an investment vehicle that has a floor. So remember what we said earlier, right, by a show of hands, is that the floor is something that's built in. Just think of your actual floor. Meaning that if the market went down, your capital preservation, your money is still intact. So the clients that I have, right, they're texting me, right, like, oh my gosh, thank you, Donald, thank you. I didn't lose any money. You saved me money, whatever the case may be. I'm happy, you know what I mean? Because one of my clients had like 300,000, 400,000, different people. And the way or the analogy that I put to them was, pretend that you're in Vegas, right? And you're winning, you're hot. You've been playing blackjack or poker or whatever you've been playing, and you're hot. The goal is to take your money off the table, right? So you took your money off the table. Now you're just playing with house money. Or you can take it all off the table and cash out with the profit, right? But at least get your money off the table. So I was able to move my clients' money, right, from one vehicle to another vehicle. And that vehicle, because I know some of you guys want to know, you can look it up, is a fixed index annuity. So with a fixed index annuity or a fixed index account, basically you can still participate in the up and down of the market, right? But you have a floor in there. Now, they say, okay, well, why get into a fixed index annuity or whatever? Well, just think about it from the insurance company or whoever the company provider, their benefit is that there's a cap as well. So let's say the cap is 10%, meaning that if the market went up 20%, you ain't going to get the entire 20%. You'll get up to the cap, which is the 10%. I'd rather be in that position, though, because give me a cap and give me a floor, my money's protected, right? But anyways, if y'all got questions on that, you can just drop me a DM or shoot me something in my inbox. But just look at that. If you got the 401k, the 403b, the 457, your IRA, your SEP IRA, your traditional IRA, or any other account that you may have cash value life insurance, right? These vehicles, or some of them, most of them, majority of them, do have these protections in place. Now, if you just listen to your financial advisor or your friend or whoever else told you who is not certified or whatever, they didn't have no license or no technical background, it's like, oh, just throw your money in the stock market or whatever the case may be, you would have lost money, right? So let's say that client that I had that transferred $400,000, right, or just moved his money, right, didn't cost him anything. What's up, Crystal? I see you. So they just moved their money from one account or one vehicle to the next. From $400,000, they just moved it from here to there. Still all their money. Plus, they got a bonus, right? So let's say it was a 5% bonus. Somebody can do the math. I think that's like $20,000. So 5% bonus on $400,000 is what? $20,000? I don't know. Somebody got a calculator. They got that as a bonus inside their account, and they got the floor protection. How beautiful is that? Now, if you didn't have none of that, and if you still had your money in that account right now, let's just say that it went down 25%, right? So 400,000, you got 4, you lose 25%, you got 3 left. So they would have only had what? 300,000 left. And if their market, if their whatever their asset allocation was, and if it was invested in, hey Chris, I see you. If they had something invested in, I guess, sub accounts that didn't have a floor, they lost money. So if that same client that I was able to move his 400,000 from one account to the next, right, and give him a bonus, if he would have left it there in a variable account, and the market went down, his 400 would now be 300, right? And if it lost 50%, some of these accounts lost 50%. His 400 would have turned into 2. Man, how sad that would have been, right? But on the opposite end, what allows me to sleep at night is that you put these people in a better position than where they were currently at. And that's why I say these are win-win-win situations. That's 3 wins. Win-win-win. You win, right? Your client wins, right? Because you was able to protect their money, right? And overall, it was a good solution for them, right? But anyways, a lot of you guys got accounts like that. Check with whoever you talk to, or your advisor, or just look at it yourself. You can log on to your independent accounts, whether you have Fidelity, whether you have Vanguard, or whoever it may be. Just log on there and say, okay, where's my asset allocation? Am I invested in just a fixed account where I'm just only getting like 1%? If you're just getting 1%, you're losing already to inflation. Am I in a variable account? Does my money have a floor? Because if it don't, in this particular time, you look back right now, you lost money, right? So everybody who if you ain't got no floor, they lost money, right? So what I try to teach and what I tell people is to have that knowledge. Knowledge gives you power, right? When it's applied. I'm sorry. Knowledge don't give you power. You got to apply it, right? So my earlier example was if you got an 800 credit score, but you don't know how to get a loan, or you do get a loan, but you don't know how to properly deploy those assets, or you don't know how to start the business or the LLC, or you don't know how to get no property with it, your 800 credit score was just for ego, right? Because you weren't able to do nothing with it, right? Here you are, you have your family going by the wayside, and you wasn't in a position to put them in a better situation because you didn't have that knowledge, or you had the knowledge, but you didn't know how to apply it. Or you had the knowledge, you wanted to apply it, but you didn't go seek out a mentor or go watch some video on how to actually do it, right? You put yourself and your family at a disadvantage. But that's just my opinion. Everybody else have different opinions, right? This is the Donald Boat Talk Show, and like I said, my opinions are just how I feel, right? If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I'm okay. Shit, my mind is open. I'm happy to listen to suggestions. If y'all got a question, drop your question in the inbox. I want to hear it. You know what I mean? What's up, Portia? That's my cousin right there. Hey. So, anyways, I want to hear y'all questions, right? If not, I just keep going on my soapbox and keep talking. I know I talk fast, but that's because I'm turned up. I got my wine right here. I got my music in the background, and thank Grace. Y'all look into that. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that's in your family right now that may have not been aware of what I just was talking about the last 5 or 10 minutes, right? And as a result, because money is a taboo, right? Taboo, not for me, but it's a taboo for a lot of people. they don't want to talk about it. And you don't talk about it, right? You may see people smiling on the outside. Like, I may be smiling right now, but be dead broke in my bank accounts, right? Like, y'all know. You know what I mean? My Bank of America can be negative. I could have lost all my money in my CalPERS, right? And y'all just see this person on the other end just smiling, right? They could be hurting inside. Their feelings is hurt, right? Because nobody spoke up or shared that knowledge with them. But anyways, so to summarize, the knowledge that I just passed on or gave to you guys was check your accounts, whether it's a 401k, 403b, 457, annuity, cash value life insurance, or whatever. These things can be accumulating cash, but you want to make sure that you got protection on the back end, right? So for young people like us, or everybody that's on here, I'm assuming you're young, you know what I mean? You may have time for that to fluctuate and go back up, right? But how would it have felt to not have lost money when the market just tanked right now, right? Then not only do you have your principal intact, you can take advantage of other opportunities that you may see out there, like property or some other stock positions, or purchasing that business that you wanted. Like, say you want a laundromat, or you wanted to open up a clothing store, right? If you would have saved $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 by not losing money, that's saving money, right? Right? What they say, a penny saved is a penny earned, or something like that. That's factual, right? So having these facts and having this information is key and beneficial for your survival and thrival in these economic terms or these pandemics. What we had went over earlier for everybody just tuning in was knowledge and having the ability to weather the situation, whether you have a mortgage or you're renting, to be in a position to capitalize and to win, right? And to win, just like a chess game, you want to be on both offense, defense, have all your strategies and tactics in place. So that letter that I put together, that I sent out on my Facebook and other social media, that was basically a prerequisite to some of the things that you needed to have in place in order to have an affirmative defense and not getting evicted, basically. So, for example, hold on, let me turn my music down a little bit more because it's kind of loud. Is my music too loud? Y'all tell me, you know what I mean? I got my headphones in, so I can't really hear, I can just hear myself a little bit. But anyway, so what I was talking about earlier was you want to be able to give that to your landlord, and guess what? You still got time, right? Because you need to either have given it to him before or within the 7 days or whatever of the first, definitely within 3 days of getting any type of notice, is that you want to deliver that to your landlord or the mortgage servicer or whatever the case may be, to say, hey, I'm unable to pay either partially or fully on this account, or my lease, per my lease agreement. And with that being said, what's up, Miss Johnson? I see you. You want to have that in effect and have given it to them. So basically, one of the prerequisites was you had to have paid your rent already and been current in the previous month. So that was March. Were you current? Yes. Okay, cool. Did you give the letter to your landlord too? Yes, cool. Are you experiencing economic situations, meaning a reduction in income, or I was sick, or I had to take care of my kid because they went to child care, or what's up, Lanita? I see you. Crystal, I see you. What was the other thing? So you were sick, you lost your income, you had to take care of a kid or a family member. Sorry about that alarm in the back. Anyways, you want to put all those in your paper and you want to give it to your landlord. Now, the good thing with that is that if you did give that to him, you can now use that. Remember, let me just put this caveat in there in quotations that I'm not a lawyer, not or any of that. But anyways, you want to give that to your landlord so that way you can use it as affirmative defense. And then some of the questions were, well, Mr. Boat or Donald or DJ, how are you knowledgeable in these things, right? How do you know about this stuff? One, because I went to law library, I read on it, right? Two, is that I actually been in that position where I got served with an eviction, right? Notice, got a summons, right? And complaint. But guess what? Your boy fought it like a boss and won, and they had to pay me, right? Fought it on other occasions where I had to sue them and they paid me. How beautiful is that, where they have to pay you, right? But if you didn't know how to do none of that stuff, right, you'll be at a disadvantage, right? You have a eviction on your record and you can't get no other place for a certain amount of time. Or other landlords who look at your record and check your credit, they'll be like, man, you got an eviction on your record. You can't live here. So then you'll be forced to live in a subpar area of the states or your country or whatever the case may be. But anyways, long story short, I ain't gonna go into that too deeply, but as I was stating before, is that I won those cases, filed a complaint with DFEH and HUD or whatever, and the luxury complex, or what they want to call luxury complex, they had to pay me money and do like a settlement, and they had to get under a 2-year supervision with the Department of Fair Housing and Employment. So you know how good that felt, where I got paid for something that you made a mistake on, and you tried to give me an eviction notice. Shit, your boy was fighting for his life. Let's go, right? So when you put yourself in that particular position, yeah, man, all the cards on the table. I'm fighting for my life. I'm about to win, right? It ain't no L's. It ain't no taking losses, right? You take a loss, right? That's all bad, right? I'm not in the habit of taking losses, right? So what I did, you know what I mean? One, was in a position to have money, so that way you can have a lawyer if you need one. Fought the cases with lawyers and without lawyers or whatever, and on all occasions, I won them all, right? And got paid out on them. So anyways, I'll do another topic on that subject later. Well, Chris,